All right, welcome to episode 21 of the Next Man Up podcast. Adam's laughing at something. Adam, is there something you want to share with the class?
Yeah, I think our podcast can now officially legally drink.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, I guess it can.
finally made it to 21.
It's finally 21.
Dude, that was a sick joke. You couldn't even contain your laughter over that
Yeah.
mediocre ass
I
joke.
was super excited.
Yeah, well, do you got a beer for our 21st? Yeah,
I do.
All right, well, cheers to us. You've never seen the pod before. This is Adam. Pretty good reflection of his personality right there. And then we also have normal punching bag, Rich, here as well.
What the hell? Really?
Yeah, I was making fun of Adam
just-
too much. It didn't feel right. What's
Yeah.
up, Rich?
That's
Wow.
just throwing it off.
Unreal. I mean, I guess I am pretty pick-onable here.
Yeah.
That's not a word. You just make this shit too easy.
That is a word. People use that
Pick-onable?
all the time. Yeah.
Pick-onable?
Yeah. Look it up.
Yeah, like probably like 10-year-olds maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
who uses
okay.
that word?
Yeah. Whatever. Look it up. It's in movies. It's on stuff. Urban Dictionary. It's
This is
there.
the same guy that called Bucks in 4, and they're
Hey.
down 2-1 right now.
I did not call that against the Suns. Okay.
You're
That was
also
the first round against Miami. I have not said
okay.
the Bucks were going to sweep.
What did you
any
say?
other
You said
team.
Bucks in 6? That's actually still possible.
I did say Bucks in 6. I did
Okay.
say Bucks in 6.
What do
But
you
you're
think? You
already-
think that's possible? That's 4 straight wins. They have one. They got to win 3 more. Are
I
they
don't think
tying
they're
the
going to win
series?
3 straight. I think if the
so
Bucks
now it's
are
not going to be in
going to have a
6.
chance, if they have a chance of winning it, it's going to go to like a game 7. I don't think the Bucks are going to win like 4 straight. They're way too inconsistent.
Oh,
with
hell
the
yeah.
other the role players for Giannis. Oh my God, they are they're
so
awful.
bad.
They're
Chris
either
Middleton is
really
like the most
good-
consistent person in the league.
He is the
Chris
shittiest person in
Middleton-
the league.
It's incredibly inconsistent.
Yeah, it's either they're totally on and they're just destroying it, or they completely just suck. They don't have a middle ground, which is
Yeah.
that's what's hurting the Bucks. You just need to find consistent players because Giannis is gonna do what Giannis does every game.
Yeah, I mean, they really haven't been able to stop him. To your point, the Bucks, fringe star players like Holiday and Middleton, they just have to show up a little bit. To Holiday's credit, he did in the last game, but Chris Middleton didn't play bad, but he was still kind of quiet in the game 3.
Yeah.
He was handling the ball a little more, kind of being the playmaker for the team, and I don't know what that did for him assist-wise, but it seemed to work for the offense. Giannis was incredible again, but is he really going to be able to do that every game, especially when they go back to Phoenix? I mean, he's had back-to-back 40-point games, and they're still down 2-1.
Yeah, what he put up last game, 44 or something. Something like that.
I think it was 42 or something. Yeah.
Yeah. But I still think the Bucks get maybe one more, maybe they get 2 more and bring it to game 7, but I don't see them winning the series. I think they might even tie it up, but then I think the Suns kind of fire back and I think they end up winning it in the end.
I think the Suns will probably win in 6.
I really don't want
Maybe
them
5,
to.
honestly.
And
Man.
that's-
If the Bucks don't win this game, they're going to lose in 5, I think.
Yeah, I think it could be 5 or 6. And that's coming from a Suns hater over there.
I don't like the Suns at all, but I mean, I'm just at the point where I just have to accept that all the stars are aligning for them.
It's reality. It sucks. I want the Bucks to win too, but the way that the Bucks have been playing, it's Giannis.
I feel bad for Giannis,
he can't
man.
win a game by himself. He might be
Yeah.
able to win 1 or 2 games by himself, but an entire series, other
Yeah.
people need to show the fuck up.
Drew Holiday
end of the
played.
day,
Drew Holiday played really solid last game. I
Yeah.
think he had 21 points and 9 assists, which is awesome. If he could get around that every game from here on out, I like their chances. But Middleton still has to play better too. Middleton needs to be getting them 25 a game on decent shooting every game.
Yeah.
He's not really doing that.
No,
You're
I
not even
agree.
close to doing that.
That just sucks for a team that's in the finals.
Yeah.
That their whole finals rely on
guys to
two
just play
guys
as well
just-
as they've played during the regular season. Like most teams look at their team and go, okay, we need to take our scoring averages to like the next level, or like we need to play better than we did all year.
Yeah.
Bucks just have to play. Most of their players just have to play as good. Like Giannis raised his playing level, and if guys just play as good as they normally play, they would be fine, but they can't seem to get it going. So really lucky Devin Booker doesn't have it going, because if he gets it going, this season is over, because he's playing really bad right now. But I mean, his coach kind of benched him and like, kind of took him out of it, made him be more of kind of a watcher and sort of waiting because that game was out of reach. And I wouldn't be surprised if he totally busts them tonight in game 4. Like I could see this be like finally him having a good game in this.
Yeah, right. And I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that all 3 wins were like pretty decisive. The first 2 were pretty decisively Suns, and this last one was pretty decisively
Bucks. It hasn't really
so,
come down to the wire.
It hasn't really been close in either.
Bucks made a nice run in game 1 to kind of get back into it, but like it was
but that was after they went down by like 30 at one point.
I think they were down huge, but they did get it into single digits, and then they just couldn't really get anything done. So
yeah.
Anyway, speaking of not getting it done.
Oh yeah, look at the transition. Gotta think about
it. Speaking of not getting it done.
Last
week,
Blackhawks haven't been getting it done for years.
That's true.
They finally decided to trade Duncan Keith for
everyone ripping on me last week about transitions.
Excuse me, Rich, I'm trying to speak.
Oh, really?
They traded our hometown favorite Duncan Keith for defenseman Caleb Jones. I guess he's not a hometown favorite. He's not from Chicago, but he's been here his entire career.
Right.
So kind of a sad moment. But they're trading for Caleb Jones and a conditional 2022 second round draft pick.
Yeah.
But I think kind of what Adam you threw on here you want to talk about maybe, and I'll hand it over to you in a second, is does this finally mark the end of the Blackhawks era? I mean, spoiler alert, my belief is that it's been over for a long time, but we're finally accepting it. We're finally moving on.
Yeah, I think
that staring at pictures of our ex-girlfriend in our bed crying face for like 7 years.
The Wolverine meme.
Yeah, I think that's the question that a lot of Hawks fans are asking at this point. So earlier in the week, Keith told the team that he wanted to be traded, and they're like, "Oh, it could take a while to like trade him because he's kind of an older player," and it happened like within like 2 days or a day and a half. So it didn't take very long. Obviously, a lot, a team like the Oilers who need defensive help, probably
need leadership help more than anything.
Yeah,
I think their biggest problem is that like they have these incredible young star players, and people always look at teams like that in any sport, and they're like, "Why isn't that team winning? They have like 2 of the best players in the league." But come playoff time, like you just need people who have been there. And I think that more so than what he's going to do for them on the stat sheet, even if he has like a bad plus minus, I think just like what he's going to do as a leader and maybe helping other defensemen on that team that maybe we as casual observers don't see any potential in, but maybe, Duncan Keith will have that Chris Paul effect where he'll be like, who the hell is Cam Johnson? Who the hell is Mikal Bridges? Chris Paul helped those guys play a lot better this season, and I've been waiting for them to choke in the playoffs, and they haven't. So anyway, I'm getting off topic, but there could be something like that in the works where there are some prospect defensemen on the Oilers that we haven't really even looked at as serious threats, but just having a guy like that in the locker room for their confidence and teaching them how to see the game better could help them.
And it's a guy that even for his age still is capable of putting in a lot of minutes if he has to.
That's what a lot of people are saying too, is that he'll play less minutes than he was playing in Chicago,
so,
and that might make him more effective.
Right. So
He's been overplayed for years now, in my opinion. There was a year where we were running like him and 2 other defensemen in a playoff series. I remember they were literally playing with like 3 defensemen in a crucial like stretch of one of the games I was watching. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and he had like 40 minutes plus in like several games in a row, which is insane.
That's insane,
even for a defenseman. But yeah, I think a lot of Hawks fans are now kind of like asking themselves, is this now, the start of that demantling of that Stanley Cup winning era team? Obviously Brent Seabrook retired last year, and Patrick Sharp not long before that. Now Keith is is gone. People might be asking, is Patrick Kane going to stay around any much longer? And I think this could be signaling, the end of that team. And I guess time will tell to see if we hold on to, some of the other guys from that time. There's not many of them left. But we finally heard an update on Jonathan Toews, who does say that he plans on playing the full next season. He had what he describes as chronic inflammatory response syndrome, which essentially means that he got sick all the time for no reason, because his immune system would just randomly overreact to the littlest of things, which sounds kind of crazy. And I was kind of looking into it a little bit, and it's not clear if it's curable or manageable or if there's medicine, but obviously it kept him out of full season. But he says that he'll be back playing for the Hawks next year. We'll see if that actually happens.
How has this never plagued him earlier in his career? This is a condition he's developed later in life.
I'm not sure. I mean, they finally came out and said what it was. And obviously that was enough to keep him out of a full season plus of hockey, but didn't really give much information on if it's something he's had his whole life, something he's developed, something that he's now able to manage. But all they're saying is it kept him out last year and he should be back ready to go next year. It'll be interesting to see if he is kind of ready to go all season. And then if he, plays for the Hawks even, or if, now that they're trying to trade guys away, if they even get rid of, him or Patrick Kane. So I guess we'll see. I mean, I obviously don't know much about Caleb Jones, I think. And then, draft picks don't mean a whole ton in hockey always. You kind of either get lucky or you don't a lot of times in hockey out of the first, top 10 picks or so.
Hockey drafts I think are like football drafts. If
you mean basketball,
first handful of picks. No, because you can actually get hockey players in late rounds that are successful. The basketball draft only goes 2 rounds, but hockey is much more like football, where there are a lot more rounds in the draft. And you'll see some guys, teams that are good at drafting will pull superstar Hall of Fame players in late rounds. I'm pretty sure Henrik Zetterberg and Pavel Datsyuk were super low picks for the Rings.
Yeah, I think
being great players
in hockey. I mean, partially because maybe they play in so many different leagues and they, come into the league at so many different
there's more
times in life.
So,
it's there's usually those top 10 guys or whatever, and then outside of that, it's kind of almost like luck. You draft a guy, based on some of the film they put on or something like that, and sometimes it translates to the NHL and sometimes it doesn't. So certainly there's players that you can find later on that turn out to be great, but it's hard to count on, a draft pick being a great player. It's not like, I have an early second round that's probably going to be an immediate starter or immediate first line, I guess.
The thing too is that I think there's just not a lot of immediate starters, because these guys will enter the draft and then play, 2 more years in their home country and then they'll come over or something.
Right.
So then you'll be the hardcore fans will be oh, well, keep an eye out for this guy. We drafted him, but he's obviously not going to play this year. He's going to come over in a couple of years and be good. And that's happened with some players, even on our own Blackhawks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, sure.
So it's just, the draft picks thing are much more long-term. So you can't really rebuild on the fly, it seems. So this might mark the end. I'd have to maybe agree with you there, Adam. Maybe we can get lucky and keep this thing moving on the fly, but this team is far away from being a good enough team for Patrick Kane to want to spend the rest of his career with, in my opinion.
Right. And it's interesting because a lot of the guys that we mentioned from that Stanley Cup run, Toews and Kane and Keith, they were all drafted by the Hawks. So it's not just it's not even a Marian Hossa where we kind of picked him up to make those, finals runs and stuff like that. It was players that we drafted. They've been here their whole career. So it's interesting. It's sad in a way to see them go. But I mean, at some point with aging players, you got to move them while they're still worth something. And obviously Keith wasn't worth a whole ton, but at least we got something for him and he didn't just kind of retire like Brent Seabrook did.
No doubt.
Well, that also saves us on a little bit of cap too, because wasn't Keith's contract pretty large?
And according to
That
the
was the big
reports,
win from what
yeah.
people were saying. Nice
Yeah.
input, Rich. I'm complimenting you because I make fun of you a lot, but that's a good point that we glossed
Yeah.
over.
According to the reports, the Hawks will cover 0 of his salary this year. So, I mean, that gives us some money maybe to sign a free agent,
That would be really cool.
you know, stuff like that. So, yeah.
Because
That would be
what are
super
top
nice.
defensemen getting paid in the league? Like,
You got me. I actually don't know.
it's lower than other sports.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I just googled like Roman Yossi made. Oh, that was in 2015.
I don't know. Is it anywhere in the ballpark of 10 for the season
For
for a top
he's on an
defenseman?
8-year, $72 million
Yeah, so
contract. I
9.
wonder if they could break that down
So it's like
by
9
a year though,
a
because
year.
it's staggered by amounts. So yeah, like in. Oh well, this is maybe a bad.
They might front load it. They might back load it. Like
Yeah, his is super
contracts,
backloaded,
like,
so this is a bad example.
yeah. But
But
again,
I
he's
don't
going to
know.
get paid quite a bit. But speaking of top talent, let's talk about all the quarterbacks in the NFL here.
That was a great
all
segue.
these
You're crushing it today.
and all these articles coming out with their top 15 quarterbacks, which their top 5, top 3 normally pretty much the same. The Nets guys a little bit interchangeable. You can go here or there, but once you start getting through like 6 to their 15, tons of question marks. Tons of people I feel are like, not tons, but there's a couple that I feel are like super overrated and just should not be that high. And the first one I want to bring up that should not be that high is Dak Prescott. I am so tired of players playing on Dallas, and just because they play for Dallas, they're just like, oh man, they play for the Cowboys. They did pretty good. They're elite talent now. Like, it's absurd.
That team hasn't had a winning season in a couple of years now, right? It's hard to say that.
Yeah.
Especially with
they always
pretty
make
good
excuses
offensive
for
line
Dallas.
too, right? Like, I mean, you would be thinking that he'd be much better, honestly.
Their
Like,
offensive line
a
had
lot of quarterbacks
injuries
you could
last
put
year.
on Dallas that would be better than Dak, I think, even in that situation.
Yeah. So obviously, not everyone can see the list. It's on our spreadsheet, but Rich, maybe read it and you know, so people know what we're talking about.
Okay, so we use Pro Football Focus, and their top 15 quarterbacks are Mahomes 1, Brady 2, Rodgers, Wilson, Watson, Allen, Prescott, Jackson, Ryan, Mayfield. That's rounding their top 10. Next 5 would be Stafford, Tannehill, Carr, Cousins, Herbert. Then we went with Yahoo's top 15. Again, Mahomes 1. They flip-flopped Brady and Rodgers, which I don't think is a big deal there. Then you get Watson.
Flip-flop Watson and Wilson,
Wilson,
too.
Yep. They flipped Watson, Wilson. And then this time you got Prescott over Josh Allen.
They got real lazy. They just flipped each other's
unreal
lineups.
Pretty much. But now this is when things start kind of changing quite a bit. Because now you have Jackson, then Yahoo has Stafford, Tannehill, then Mayfield, Cousins, Ryan, Herbert, and Carr at the bottom, which again, once you start getting out of that top 10, it's a lot easier to start kind of interchanging some of these guys or like mixing them up. But still, like, Yahoo was the only article that I saw. No, Pro Football Focus was the only article I saw that had Josh Allen above Prescott. All the other lists that I seen,
that's crazy.
Everyone had Dak Prescott above Josh Allen, which blows my mind because whenever you talk about like Prescott, no one ever says like he has the best accuracy, he has the best arm, he makes the best decisions. All it's always talking about is, oh, he has a good running game, he has very good receivers, he has a very good offensive line. And then when the offensive line doesn't play well and you're like, oh man, Dak Prescott had a bad game. Everyone's like, oh, well, offensive line didn't play well. Zeke didn't do anything. So it's like, now you're making excuses for why he's not good. But then when he does do well, you say he does well because of everything around him. So it's very like hard to like, I feel to put him above like a Josh Allen, even a Lamar Jackson.
That's a stretch.
And
but by the same token, I will step into his defense and say that that team really struggled without him. So sometimes, like, I think it's important to note that there are quarterbacks that should be on this list that aren't going to have the craziest, number of touchdowns or like incredible throwing arms and accuracy. Like some of it is just intangible stuff like leadership and just, being a presence in the locker room, running the correct play, even if it's not the statistical right play for your team, good play calling, things of that, that nature. And some quarterbacks have more leeway there than others, but there are other things that go into being a good quarterback since you are effectively the coach on the field. So like a point guard in basketball can average, 7 assists while another guy averages 11, but that dude's a way better defender, way better leader, does other things that don't show up in the stat sheet, and they're ultimately maybe a better player. So I think that's kind of important to note too. I don't know. When I kind of proposed this segment, I thought it'd be fun to make our own list. Did anyone else make a list, or at least make one up quickly?
No, I didn't make one, but maybe I'll have one prepared for next week or something. But yeah, I didn't make one for this week.
Did you, Rich?
I did not. I wanted to like rail on the articles and just kind of like talk shit about Dak Prescott being ranked so high. Like, I see Dak Prescott more at that 9 and 10 position, not like 6 or 7 where I see most of these articles going at. Like, I'm not saying Dak Prescott's not a top like 10 quarterback. He's like right there.
Fringe.
But again, but when you're
fringe top 10.
Oh, I'm feeling good about my list then.
He's kind of there, but he's like, you can talk him out of the top 10 kind of thing, but having him closer to like 5 is like, it's insane. Like, he is a good quarterback. He plays well with the system that they have, the player that they have. Just like you brought up, he does have great leadership, which that definitely accounts for a huge thing as well.
But so do a lot of people on the list that are even ranked under him.
Right.
So, I'm kind of where you're at, Rich. Just kind of want to rage on the list a little bit. I mean, Mahomes, obviously, number one. I'm agreeing a lot more with the Pro Football Focus list than the Yahoo, just because of the ones that they have flipped. I definitely kind of see it more the Pro Football Focus way. Brady over Rodgers, Wilson over Watson, just because, he's proven he could do it better and he's done it longer and won more games and been to the biggest game and won it there and stuff like that. Definitely Allen over Prescott. I mean, the Buffalo Bills were nothing before Josh Allen got there. And I know they made a lot of changes. I'm not saying that it was just Josh Allen, but he's made strides and really kind of taken that team over the edge. I think if you switch Allen and you switch Prescott, I think,
that doesn't work at all.
Yeah. So, and
I don't think that team's anywhere.
Right. And I would actually even move Prescott under Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson brings more to the team. Just, what he could do with his legs and even how young he is from a leadership standpoint.
There's still time to become a better thrower. Whereas with Dak, I don't know that he's really young anymore. You kind of blink and you're like, that's not really a young quarterback anymore.
Well, my thing though too with like saying stuff like that, like if you put Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson on that Cowboy team, Allen and Jackson are gonna light it up way more than Dak would. With that running back, with that offensive line,
I think so.
With
Allen
those
definitely. I don't know about Jackson just because like I don't know that his style of play would complement a team that has to give touches to like elite or at least fringe elite running back that wants touches and needs to be given touches.
Now Now, if you look at the next name on the list and like a Matt Ryan or something, I think you can argue that, Dak Prescott at this point in his career brings more to the table than Matt Ryan. Even maybe a Baker Mayfield. I feel like Mayfield is probably underperformed, with all the weapons he's had around him.
He actually, the back end of last season, he did play like very well statistically.
I mean, but again,
he's got a lot of weapons, and it took him like a long time to figure it out.
Teams around him.
Yeah.
And then, I think you run into a lot of, sometimes this player plays better, or is it their situation with a guy like Stafford and Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins, who I'm almost surprised is ranked this high. And, Herbert, obviously being pretty young as he is, I think he showed a lot of promise, in the short time that he's been in the league. And I think if you protect that guy, I think he might be kind of flying up the list a little bit this year. But yeah, some of these other guys, after post 10, I think is when you can really start to argue, well, is it situational?
Can I read my list?
Yeah, go for it.
I just want to say one more thing, I guess, and then you can read. The people I'm most surprised are not on the list. I don't know how you don't have Kyler Murray in the top 10 at this point. I would put Kyler Murray over Dak Prescott already in my mind, probably just under Lamar Jackson in my mind, but I would probably put him over Mayfield, over Stafford, over Tannehill, over most of the end of that list. And then I'm surprised Big Ben's not on the list. I don't know if he even deserves to be there at this point in his career, but it's a little Big Ben hateful that, you have Tannehill and Mayfield up there and not Big Ben, who's pretty old, but still.
Yeah, it was so hard to judge that team's talent last year because they were on fire, and sometimes when you're rolling and you're winning games,
but I mean, but Big Ben's in years that they've gone far in the playoffs, it's undeniable he's had a lot of talent around him, Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell and stuff like that. But I mean, look at their offense last year. Juju Smith is not
number one.
Yeah, he's not a number one wide receiver.
I thought he was, but you're maybe right.
They had the
worst. They have a good they have good receivers. They get it done by committee.
They have okay receivers, I think, in my opinion. I think they don't have great receivers. They have okay receivers. Their offensive line is pretty decent.
Do it by committee. Like some teams have running backs that would get a lot more touches on other teams.
But in general, they won all those games last year, and they had the worst yards per carry in the league last year. They had the second lowest rushing touchdown percentage in the league last year. They did not have a good run game, and they won a lot of games, which means it was Big Ben throwing the ball. So I think you can argue him off the list, but in my opinion, I would, even at this point in his career, I would probably have Big Ben over guys like Cousins. I think you can argue over like a Baker Mayfield even. But like you said, Mayfield finished well last year. But even like a guy like Matt Ryan, who, I would take Matt Ryan early in his career, but definitely didn't have a great year last year. Yeah. So
I also want to put Matt Ryan in the top 10 though, too, like Pro Football
Not anymore.
Focus
has. I think at one point
he's number 9.
Trying to read mine for like 20 minutes. You guys are just making a list. Just do it. You're at this point, might as well just write it how you want it to be. Instead of just being move this guy here, move this guy here. While I read mine, you could just make a list.
Okay, I'm making a list.
No, that'll take me too much focus. I'll post my list next week.
Pro Football Focus over here.
All right. I put a little thought into mine, but not a lot. But I don't know. I think it's pretty good for someone that only really watches football through the lens of fantasy football. But my top 15 quarterbacks, in my opinion, as a very casual fan, is Patrick Mahomes, number 1, Aaron Rodgers, number 2, Russell Wilson, number 3, Tom Brady, number 4. And I just want to add that for this list, I'm betting, this is what I think is going to kind of come into shape this season. I have some younger quarterbacks that I think are going to take a leap this year. And I have, some older quarterbacks that definitely have the resume maybe falling a little further down the list. So Brady at 4 is pretty insulting if you can put together another year like he did last year. But again, much more of, a playoff time player. And in terms of being a workhorse quarterback throughout the year, I've got him at 4. Josh Allen, coming in at 5th. Then I have Deshaun Watson at 6th. I have Kyler Murray at 7th. Lamar Jackson at 8. Matt Stafford at 9. Justin Herbert at 10. Dak at 11. And then I've got Matt Ryan and Derek Carr at 12 and 13. And then I put 2 young guys that I think are going to take a leap forward this year in the bottom of the list. I got Jalen Hurts at 14 and Joe Burrow at 15. I know like Joe Burrow wasn't like super healthy and stuff, but I think the initial buzz of drafting his former college teammate as a wide receiver has sort of died down, but I think that's going to be huge for him. Like,
Sure.
I watched some of his games and just not really having a lot of options and stuff. And this dude's pretty good moving with the ball, like and like running the ball and stuff. And like, I don't know, he's just seems like a good IQ player. If you like start to put some weapons around him, I think he's good. I left Baker out because like I really think this dude has underachieved with the team that he has. Like I really think Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts are like better quarterbacks if you were to like put them in that Browns situation right now. And
Yeah.
that might be a hot take, maybe not Burrow, but I think Jalen Hurts probably would be.
See, I think if out of those two guys, I think if anyone's going to have a major step forward, I would put Burrow more than Jalen Hurts. In my opinion,
The
I
Eagles
think
kind of
Jalen Hurts is gonna suck, dude.
I
That was
think,
so dumb by them.
I think if you protect Joe Burrow now that he has, the weapons that he does, and even they have a good running back in Mixon, I think really he could be a top 10 quarterback easily this year.
Wow.
On a team that's not that good in general. I think they're going to lose a lot of games because they're going to lose a lot of games on defense, to be honest. But I think they could have actually a pretty decent offense. And yeah, that's very dependent on if he comes back from injury, and plays as well or better than he did last year. And like I said, I think it comes down to, are they able to protect him? Because they didn't protect him very much last year, and obviously he ends up getting hurt pretty early on. But yeah, I think potential wise and the offensive weapons that they put around him already this early in his career, I think he could be a top 10 quarterback next year. And I think if you're ranking purely on potential, I would put him higher than Baker Mayfield, Matt Ryan, even Kirk Cousins for sure. Stuff like that. Tannehill, who we've kind of talked about. Tannehill to me is another one of those guys. It's like maybe in the top 15, maybe, but I think he's ranked a little high on most lists here. But he's more of a
that way too. Like there's definitely like those game manager quarterbacks that I don't really know how to rank. Like, so I kind of favored like just younger guys that I think can take a leap forward over guys like that will probably hold true to being around like the top 15.
And I think Herbert's a good guy to take a shot on too. I think he's going to be.
I had him taking a leap to like inside the top 10. I think I had him at 8 or 9.
And I'm sorry, I didn't. Did you have Kyler Murray?
Oh, Herbert is 10. Yeah, Kyler Murray's 7 for me.
Yeah, I knew you had him up there. Yeah, I think
he's better than Lamar Jackson.
I think he can be. That offense struggled with a lot of injuries last year, a lot of holding penalties, stuff like that, and he had to do a lot himself, especially on the goal line. Which anyone that had D-Hop in fantasy, I mean, he had a lot of points, but he didn't have a lot of touchdowns last year because Kyler Murray was running it in so often.
I think he's just got a better overall game than Lamar Jackson.
I think
he has the arm
so
and
too.
he can move. Like I think this year he might take a leap forward. I like Lamar Jackson, but I think Lamar Jackson is overrated a little bit. Like I had him at 8. I think that's a good spot for him. I could even see Herbert becoming a better player than him.
I think so too. Shortly. I think again, if you're ranking on potential, I think Herbert is a guy that easily could be in that top 10 easily.
And this is only one season. Who knows if guys will all make this leap simultaneously within a year. But, I mean, I think this is kind of what the quarterback picture is looking like in my eyes, assuming a lot of guys play better. So it is a little bit riskier of a list. Yeah, you could definitely have safer picks in there. Like, Baker Mayfield will probably play okay again. He's got a good team around him. Ryan Tannehill, like you mentioned, another guy you could probably have in here safely in the top 15. But I just think guys are going to make some leaps this year. I think the quarterback position is like super deep in the NFL. And I think, you're just starting to see those guys given more freedom to do what they want.
you took a little bit of a risk
Yeah.
throwing Aaron Rodgers that high. He might just retire and play golf and
Do
host
Jeopardy.
Can we
or
talk about
something.
how much of a cuck Aaron Rodgers is to just do that golf tournament with Brady and just take verbal abuse constantly? Like is he
That's
going
what
to
I
be
heard.
remembered as the
Yeah.
Charles Barkley of the NFL? Like, can we do a segment on that maybe where like, because that's sort of how Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan were. Like they'd golf together, they had a friendship outside of basketball, but like it's weird to me, like how could you be friends with somebody that just beats you down and talks trash about it and like won't let it go? Like it's crazy to me that like it makes me question the dude's winning this, to your point. Like is this dude, like he has all the talent in the world, but I'm starting to think, because I don't know him well as a person, I don't watch him in interviews, I don't know what type of person he is off the field, but it sounds silly, but like seeing how he reacts in like that type of a social setting just makes you think like maybe that's the only thing that separates him from being as good as people think he should be, is that he just doesn't have the competitive
I
drive
think he's pretty competitive. I think he kind of houses all that in and then kind of like takes it out on people without the
On the
media kind of
field.
noticing, on the field, stuff like that. The thing that bothers me most about him in interviews is he's a blamer. If he has a bad game, it's because the offensive line didn't do something, or it's
He
because the
needs more
receivers
help.
didn't
I
do
think he's
something.
he gives
he's
me
always a
post-sport
blamer.
vibes. Like he doesn't seem like the kind of dude that like in the post-game interview would be like, I have to be better. Like
Right. He never does
Tom
that.
Brady,
Yeah.
Michael Jordan,
Right.
Kobe Bryant kind of winner type attitude.
Right. He never says I have to be better. He's always like, this person screwed up or this person didn't do something right. He throws people under the bus a lot. I don't
honestly,
like that.
Russell Wilson could be better than Aaron Rodgers this year, in my opinion. Like maybe, I don't know. Like that dude's like, remember the days when we used to call like Russell Wilson like a game manager? And now he looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like
he's done it for a long time with a terrible offensive line.
Yes,
he absolutely terrible offensive line. I mean, the Packers year in, year out have one of the better easily a top 10, if not a top 5 offensive lines in the league. Russell Wilson, I don't know, other than the couple years they went to the Super Bowl, I don't know if he's ever had a top 10 offensive line, and he's done
even
the
the offensive lines for that, they were just good at run blocking. They sucked at pass blocking.
Right, which is why he had more of the game manager thing, was because all he had to do was hand the ball off or whatever. But
I still think like I have Derek Carr in here at 13, and that's another interesting one that I don't know if that's a correct take, but I think Derek Carr has like a ton of talent. Like I wonder what that guy would be like in just a better situation.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Those
Raiders are under total shit circumstances. That
whole 10 through 15, I think you could argue, is it circumstances actually, the quarterback? I think that's where it gets a little foggy.
Yeah. Like, you think Derek Carr's better than like Ryan Tannehill, like if they were in equal situations?
I think I could probably argue that.
Yeah.
That I think he's a better quarterback.
That's kind of my thinking.
I mean, Tannehill totally like proved that situation matters.
Yeah.
Because
he sucked in Miami.
He sucked in Miami, but he knows how to read the defense. He knows what to do with the football. He just had no talent around him.
I think he's a great
Miami
fit,
and just doesn't have the talent to like make people better. Where now he's on kind of and it's like bam.
By the same token, like there are great quarterbacks that maybe wouldn't fit. There are quarterbacks that are better than Tannehill that maybe wouldn't fit in that situation as well. Like I think because he's like knows his limits as a player, like he's a better quarterback to pair with like a running back like Derrick Henry, because he seems like selfless enough to like, say, okay, we'll run the ball when we need to run the ball. Like I'll spread the ball around to like, weapons. He seems like kind of a good player in the sense, I guess the word they would use is like a game manager, but he just seems like he's the type of guy that can like feed all of the mouths in that on that team. A lot of talented guys that are gonna, if they start losing games, it's I'm not getting enough touches. Oh, we're throwing it too much. Oh, we're running it too much.
Well, like an Odell or
guy that that's like, I'll sacrifice so that you guys can play well. Like, so what you need, because if you had some star quarterback there who thinks he's better than those three-star players that they have on offense, like that could be a problem.
No, I think
his want, like Lamar Jackson there running the ball and not giving it to the other three guys. Like, what do you do?
Right. I think his fit there is great, and I think that's why they win a lot of games, and I think they're one of the better teams in the league, and they could do great things offensively this year. They could be one of the top scoring teams in the league easily with the talent they have there. And I think it's the fit that matters. But, ranking talent-wise, would I put Tannehill ahead of a lot of these people? Probably not, to be honest.
Mhm.
But I think, even some of these, as you were kind of saying, some of these quarterbacks that may be more talented might not fit as well in Tennessee with the roster they have. And I don't know if they would win as many games, even though they have more talent, So
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I think that's why football in general is so interesting, because it's not only
Sports in
about
general, yeah.
how well you are or how well you play or, how good you are. It has a lot to do with how you fit with the other people and the system
Rich,
and the scheme and all that.
are you ready
Yeah.
for this incredible segue?
Yes. I've been thinking about this the whole
Speaking
time.
of speaking about fits and just throwing a bunch of talent on a team that doesn't fit together, how about US
Yes.
0-2 in exhibition play currently with losses to Australia and Nigeria?
Yeah.
That has a couple NBA players people sleep on. A lot of
Patty
Miami.
Mills.
Yeah.
That's Australia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Nigeria.
that's the most current one was Patty
Yeah,
Mills
they lost
lit
to
up
Australia most currently,
Team USA.
But guys, is this cause for concern? I'm gonna put on my conspiracy theorist hat for a second. I feel like Rich, his eyes are gonna light up for this, maybe, or maybe Adams. At least one of you will maybe agree with me. But this feels like kind of a move to like stir ratings and to like I don't think this team's playing hard. They're coming off the playoffs. This is vacation. These are exhibition games.
Yeah.
I think they're going like 1/3 speed. You're hearing a lot of like the global game's caught up with the NBA. That's totally true. It has, but I still think this team is significantly better and would win these games if they mattered. Like I really don't think that they're like trying their hardest and losing these games. Like you gotta remember these guys are playing on a delayed or like a shortened off season, and then they just played a full playoffs where most players dropped like flies due to injury. So, I'm not saying that the games aren't going to be closer in this tournament because I think they are. Like, I think we're done seeing like 50-point blowouts in the Olympics and stuff because the talent gap has caught up. But, if it's a 5-6 point game, you really think Kevin Durant's going to go like full Kevin Durant mode at like 32? Like, you really think like Damian Lillard at 30 is just going to be like driving to the rim hard every time or like diving for loose balls in exhibition games? Like, no, not really. But, when those games start to matter and it's the actual tournament, I wouldn't be surprised if they turn it on. But I think it's funny to see them drop 2 in a row. But what I've realized is that it's making people more interested, and it almost feels like kind of a ratings move to me. Like you've seen weird stuff like this in the Dream Team documentary. They mention a scrimmage that the team did with some college players where they lost, and allegedly Chuck Daly threw the game, the coach of the Team USA team. So they played a game against a bunch of top college players. College players kicked their ass, and then they let the media into the arena and they found out the scoreboard and figured out who won the game and stuff. Turned out Michael Jordan had been benched. Like certain rotations weren't really together. Guys were kind of goofing around. They weren't running plays. And then they played him in the second scrimmage and they beat him like by like 25 or something absurd like that. So, I think a lot of it is like I think this is a business. People forget that basketball is a business and that the Olympics are definitely a business. And this is totally a move, in my opinion, to just raise viewership because no one watches USA basketball because it's inevitable. They're going to win. Yeah. The games are going to be blowouts. You'll maybe watch the first couple games and then the championship just to see the gold medal and, sing the anthem if that's your jam or not or whatever. But like, I don't think people are that interested in watching every single USA basketball game. But if they can find a way to like, I think the talent has caught up, but I think this was kind of a moment.
Not enough.
Not enough for them to be losing games. No, but this is a moment that's, I think, designed to kind of show the world that, like, hey, we might see some games that are inside 10 points, like a couple games this year, but they're going to win all these games, in my opinion.
Yeah. Definitely interesting because since the pros started playing in the Olympics, this is the first time that they've lost 2 exhibition games or something like that. I read, but it obviously doesn't matter at this point. I don't even know this. I don't know if these games aren't even televised, right? Because I haven't seen it.
I think you can watch them streaming somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably,
okay.
Exactly. They're not really like televised games. They don't count for anything. I mean, it's the same thing on a lesser scale because,
like
it's
preseason
so
games.
unprecedented. But it's kind of like watching like a football team or a basketball team or really any team like lose a preseason game, it's like,
Yeah.
does anyone freak out when like LeBron James only plays the first half and like the Lakers lose a preseason game?
Right.
Does anyone give a shit? Even if they lose the first game of the regular season, like, does anyone give a shit? Like, yeah, once you get into the tournament and the losses start counting, and I don't know if it's single or double elimination, but they'll be fully aware of that. And I
Right.
just don't think that this is any indication of how this.
Yeah, I mean, I would actually be surprised at this point with how the season shook out and all the injuries and stuff. I would actually be surprised if they were going 100%, really pushing it to win these games.
Why would you want
They'd probably look at it and be like, well, we've had so many injuries and why would I push it and possibly get injured like so many people did this year when I could, these games don't really matter for anything anyway. It's just like practice, that'd be like saying you showed up to a practice and like the B team beat the A team or something. And it's like, okay, but it's just practice. They were trying something. Right. They're just getting used to it. And something was saying that like they've only been together for like a couple weeks.
Exactly. They playoffs just ended. So to them, instead of going on a vacation, they did this instead.
Yeah.
So these exhibition games kind of are their vacation. They're probably getting, some reps in and just getting used to playing with each other.
Maybe not sleeping very much too.
They're not going hard. They're probably they're probably hanging out. They're probably goofing around. Like they're probably relaxing. This is a vacation, like fun trip for a lot of these guys. And I'm sure the practices against other NBA star players are probably more competitive than the actual scrimmages are. And I know that sounds harsh to the rest of the world, but like I imagine these guys maybe even go harder at each other than they do in exhibition play, because they're really, I still think because the gold medal is such a lock, and maybe that'll change if there is an upset this year to play devil's advocate. I really think NBA championships are more the focus of NBA players.
Sure.
Whereas overseas, I think these guys take their overseas play a lot more seriously, and you'll see a lot of guys like still playing on their Olympic team into their 40s. Like Pau Gasol, I think, might even play this year for Spain, and he's like 40 and retired from the NBA. So It's just a different level of like pride, I think, because of the fact that like USA players don't really feel like that's their team, because it's sort of, any 12 NBA players they feel like has a chance at winning a gold. I don't think anyone, even with the exception of maybe like the superstar tier players like Durant or something, feel like this team needs them to win. I mean, look, that's evidenced by LeBron not even showing up. Whereas for another country, their best player not playing, like that would be unheard of. So I think there's a lot of things that kind of go into this, but I don't know. I think we're overreacting about it. I wouldn't be surprised if the point differential is lower than past years. I think the talent definitely is catching up, and it's really cool to see 5-ish NBA players on a team or something on a national team. But like, I think it'll be competitive between those teams, and that might be exciting. And that's what I would say, encourage basketball fans to, watch these games and don't watch USA, win by 14 against Australia. Like watch Australia play Slovenia and see how Luka Doncic handles some other NBA players, or like, watch how Spain's going to do against Argentina. Watch these games that the USA is not in. And that's what this is really about to me. This is a marketing opportunity for the NBA and for us to just see how far the game's advanced. But that being said, I don't think it's advanced enough to where
it was nice to see, Popovich get all pissy with the media a little bit after that second
and
loss.
That's such a Popovich move. This is very much a Popovich move, which is funny too. Like this is the guy you're talking about that will like bench Duncan, Parker, Ginobili, and like Leonard, and then like play the Miami Heat with LeBron and Wade and like lose by 20, and then act like, oh, we should have won the won the game or whatever. But it's like clearly a troll move so that they can't scout or get a gauge for like how good this team really is. So like Popovich was like the perfect guy to execute this, because if they win by 20, he's mad. If they lose by 10, he's mad. Like it doesn't matter. So like to me, this is just kind of like a mind game thing and an exercise in like teaching these guys, the consequences of losing without it actually counting for their record, because they're probably annoyed that they're getting made fun of on social media by Americans and shit right now. And that will get them to play better when it does matter. Because I think there might be some close games this year, but I don't think they're going to lose a single game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, I agree with all those like statements. Like you said, it's exhibition. They're coming off of like a shortened season, no rest, no nothing, going straight in. And again, like they don't need to go hard yet. There's no reason for it. So again, it's more of like the media stuff, getting ratings up, NBA, all those like sports, even for like the Olympic sports and stuff too, all over the world. All sports have lost like a crap ton of money. So anything that'll help
ratings
to boost ratings and viewership, I mean, why would you not like do it? Kind of deal. But yeah.
Speaking of basketball, real quick, I just got an ESPN update that Kawhi Leonard just had surgery to repair a torn ACL.
Ouch.
Ooh, so he tore his ACL. That's not
partial tear, they say, but it required surgery.
Better than it could have been.
Oh, dang.
But anyway, on to probably our most famous segment here, the 2-minute drill. I think it's Rich doing the 2-minute drill today.
Yes.
Okay. And Austin, do you want me to ask or do you want to?
I'll time because I'm typing one more question here.
You'll time and I'll ask questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to read one first? I've got the third one that I'm sending over ready to fire.
Okay.
But I'll get this timer pulled up.
I had some backups in case you forgot to post your questions.
Nice.
Ones that I'm sure Rich.
Also, make sure
enjoyed.
If my questions don't say things like "and why" or "why" or anything that would invoke needing it to be more than a one-word answer, make sure that that's like heavily implied or said.
I will make sure to answer with more than one word.
Okay.
Maybe
so. You're not going to cheat this time?
I've not cheated at all. You guys are always salty.
You've exploited the nature of the game being unprecedented and broken.
I'm playing within the rules.
Existed. Yeah, you did. I'll give you that. Those weren't rules at the time, but it just kind of thought they went without saying. But there's always that kid that fucks it up for everyone.
All right, Austin, whenever you're ready with the timer.
Yeah.
All right, you got to read the first question and then I'll start it when you're
Rich,
done.
you ready to go?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Who wins the Finals MVP this year in the NBA?
Chris Paul. Definitely Chris Paul. The way he's been like playing, it's more of like a storybook thing. Like he's been in the league forever. Yada yada yada. He's been an MVP. Move on.
Okay, what position group is the most important to an NFL team?
Offensive line, offensive and defensive line. Without having either one being good, your team generally is not very good. When you look at playoff Super Bowls, it's usually a top like 5 offense or defensive line that wins the Super Bowl. Next.
Which rookie quarterback wins the most games this year in the NFL?
Ooh, man. I'm gonna go with Justin Fields. I think it's gonna be Justin Fields. Justin Fields has a better defense around him than some of the other rookie quarterbacks. Like our defense will win some games if he does get out and play, which I believe he will. Next question.
Who is the best center in NBA history?
Oh, Shaq.
Why?
Oh my God. He's just like a massive like boulder. Like I know you could put some other guys in, but a lot of the other guys are kind of like a Giannis where they're like tall, lengthy, just kind of like they built muscle while in the NBA. Shaq came in like a brick house already.
Yeah.
It's a good take.
All right. Who is one athlete you'd love to see try another sport?
One athlete I would love to see try another sport.
30 seconds.
I'm going to go with Michael Phelps because of how many gold medals he's won and the amount of training that guy puts in and his mentality.
It's a good one.
It would be interesting to see him play another like sport. Next question.
Interesting.
Who is the best MLB pitcher ever and why?
Ever?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Randy Johnson, dude.
9 seconds.
How fast he could throw that baseball. And did you not see him disintegrate a bird? Come on.
2, 1, 0. He did it.
He's got it. Yeah. I would have gone with Randy Johnson too.
Plus his nickname too, The Unit. We all know what the hell that means.
Big penis.
Okay, I wasn't going to spell it out, but all right.
I thought we were going to. The Michael Phelps one was a really interesting
Yeah,
one.
Rich.
I did not
Wow.
know you were gonna go
Rich,
to
you
swimmer.
kind of crushed this whole episode, man. I'm not gonna lie. You were good. There were no Rich moments.
What sport would you want him to play? Because he's like
I
tall
know.
and like lanky, has those big ass feet. Like
To be honest, going
could
from
be really
Dude,
fast.
what about soccer? You think he'd be
No.
well conditioned? He's got to have lungs of
Yeah,
steel.
he could. Yeah,
He's got
that
good
might be
footwork too,
interesting.
I mean,
probably. I don't know.
I don't know about like
He's
actual
so different than
footwork
anything he's played
for
though.
soccer. Like, I don't know, just how
He's got
like
big old
tall
feet.
and lengthy that he
He's
is.
probably played some water polo in his life. Like, does that
Well-
translate to anything? I don't know.
Like
Well, it
for some
translates to
reason,
water
I'm
polo.
thinking like
Yeah, I guess if you
I'm
count
thinking
that.
like basketball. I'm getting him out of the water. Like I'm
But
not
he's
gonna put him in
he's
like
tall.
water polo, but,
Yeah,
like,
isn't he tall?
yeah.
He's
How
like
tall is he?
6'4", 6'5". I think
Yeah.
he's pretty tall.
I think he could
6'4",
play tight end at
6'5", like,
top 10 level.
I believe.
Yeah, I think he would definitely, in the NFL, I think he could start at any position and be a top 10.
God. Unbelievable. But yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I would think like basketball. I think just with the height and like mentality, I think he could transition to something.
Yeah, plus isn't
That's all
swimming a lot
with
about
big
like your
hands,
technique?
too.
I feel like he could
Yeah.
learn to shoot a basketball and
Yeah.
just like shoot. He has the
Swimming's
mental
really
capacity to
technique.
like sit in a gym and shoot like 15,000 threes a day until he figures
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
out. And he could be like a spot up shooter. I think.
Shaq was a little bit of a cop out. We'll give him that one.
That was. They're definitely
Justin
better
Fields-
centers, but you did make a great point that the centers that are, generally considered better than Shaq are not nearly as strong. So I get
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to fight Shaq. I think that'd be a fun.
I
Dude,
think
he would
kill you by looking
Kill
at
you, dude.
I know,
He'd
but that'd
probably
be-
pick you up
Could
by
you
your
im-
head.
could
with
you
one
imagine
hand.
Shaq in his prime or
Could
right
you-
now? I want to see you fight
Dude,
Shaq in his prime, and he'll
in his
literally
prime-
kill you.
could you just imagine the story? Like,
What
mean,
story?
I could
You'd
just-
be dead, so
Yeah,
you wouldn't be able
just
to
saying.
imagine it.
but
You
I would be
die.
like, I would be like in the hospital, like, yeah, Shaq. kicked
no,
my
you'd,
ass.
you'd
dude,
be
I'd be,
dead. You'd be in
I'd
a
be-
coma.
dude,
but
You'd
I'd
be
be-
hearing us talk about that as you
dude,
fight
but
for
I
your
would
life.
be,
in a
I would
coma.
be the most popular. I'd be the most popular person in heaven or hell or whatever. I'd be like, yeah, Shaq killed me, and they'd be like, oh, this guy's cool. He's like, dude, Shaq killed this guy.
Yo,
He's
what would
already
you what would
playing
you do to provoke the fight? Would you just tell him that Charles Barkley was a better player? He just had better team. He just didn't
I
have.
would, I would get, I don't know, man. I would
That's
get
what I
like
would do.
Floyd
If I
Mayweather's
had the-
people to promote the fight because they seem to promote really well.
Yeah.
And if we're already
Or-
going like, this
Would you
far
go Conor
into-
McGregor and just break your ankle before you're about to die?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude,
That's
did
what I
you
would
see
do.
like
I would
the
break my
ankle
own
that
ankle.
the ankle that he broke? That was the same leg. Like if you actually watch the fight, he kicks like so hard, and his body is totally tearing down because the leg that he snapped is the same leg that he kept hitting that guy with. Like every hard kick was with that leg. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he like fractured it or like did something to it even before he like did that step. And then the moment he like stepped back or landed any type of awkward, it just came out from under him because he
I didn't
just
see it. I'm
killed
sure it was
that
disgusting.
leg against
Yeah.
that guy. Oh, it was awesome.
Dude, the Justin Fields pick was an interesting one, but I don't really know how you can argue any of the quarterbacks because a lot of the ones that are going to be
I
playing
like
as
Richard's
rookies
strategy there, even though
are-
it's a homer pick. Yeah.
Yeah, like
I-
Zach
Because you
Wilson
didn't.
ain't
You
gonna win
also
a lot
didn't
of
say
games.
that they have to
Trevor
start
Lawrence
X
isn't gonna
amount of
win any
games.
Yeah.
no, it's just
Trevor
how many
Lawrence.
games will they win?
You're right, and
I think,
he might win more games than some of those teams, even playing half or part of the
Yeah.
season.
I
'Cause their
think
team's just way better. Like Rich
Yeah.
said, he might have games where he like throws 2 interceptions and they win because the defense is good.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's hard to argue with the pick, but I don't know. It's like risky
Yeah.
because he might not play at all.
My thing
We
is,
should bet a keg on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I'm not doing that. I'm not giving you guys a keg back.
I think honestly, I
I
think
still haven't
like
gotten my keg yet.
I think Trey Lance might be even the safer pick because Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to play a whole
Damn.
season. We
I
know
was
that.
just about
And
to
San
say
Francisco
that.
has such a good team around them
Yep.
that it could be. If I had
Yeah,
to make a
that would be
bet, I'd
my-
probably
yeah.
say Trey Lance just based on
That's an interesting.
he's
one, too.
likely going to
Same
play
logic
and
though.
and the team
Yeah.
around him's good. So
Yeah.
not based
Yeah.
on just his play.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, and even,
yeah.
like Mac Jones.
If you're
like,
if you're
those
Dude,
guys
choosing
are
a
just-
quarterback, you go to too bad of a team, So
I think
I like your guys' instinct
Zach
there.
Wilson and Trevor Lawrence are the only two that'll start right away, and I don't see either one of them winning more than 4 games. So
I was just about to say the same thing. I think Lawrence might sneak in 5,
Maybe.
but I mean,
Yeah. And he has so much hype
man.
around him, but like for a quarterback that's that much hype around him, never lost or whatever, he's gonna lose a lot of games this year.
Yeah.
And then
it's the same thing with like Peyton Manning. Like when he came in, he sucked his first 2 years. And the first 2 years in the NFL, you look at Peyton Manning's stats his first 2 years, like bad.
Yeah,
like,
almost
just
Eli
bad.
numbers.
Yeah, bad. That was good. I like that.
And then I liked the Chris Paul pick because you're pretty much conceding the fact that the Bucks won't come back and win by picking Chris Paul, because that would be like unheard of for the team that lost to then have
Dude,
the finals.
they are essing Chris Paul's D so hard. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost in 7 and Chris Paul got Finals MVP.
Wait, they're shitting his duck?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
But yeah, I don't know.
And then the last one there, most important position group, I would have been disappointed in you if you didn't say the offensive line.
I knew you were going to say that.
I think in general,
that was a softball question. You guys love talking about offensive line.
Dude, it's offensive and defensive lines, both of them.
It matters so much.
Look at Tampa
You're right,
Bay.
though.
The Super Bowl, like Mahomes, best 2 tackles out of the game, harass the whole game. Bucks, their defensive line, their front 7 is within the top 5. Like any team that makes the Super Bowl, either their offensive line or defensive line is in the top 5.
Yeah,
I am like,
that's fair. You picked 2 positions. That's technically an L because you said which player group and you picked offensive and defensive lines.
Yeah,
you got to choose between the 2. Which one's more important?
We'll change his win to a loss then.
Oh, this is. Man, we should have ended this recording a long time ago.
You just talked yourself out of it. With that, we'll wrap it up. Rich loses.
So we all agree. We all agree, Rich.
We do not all agree. This is some bull.
I agree that he either won or lost. I'll pick both.
See you later, fans. All the 10 people that watch. Thank you for
that's a major
watching us, and we out.
All right, bye.